Every spring, I like to go morel hunting. Over the years, I've found morels in probably a dozen different areas. But here's the problem. I have to get in my car, drive at least 20 minutes, and then hike another 10 minutes at least. And my best spots are almost an hour drive away. One year, I thought to myself, what if I brought the morels to me? A little taste of the forest right in my backyard in the city. It's really simple. I'll show you exactly what I did, and at the end of the video, I'll show you the results. The only hard part about this process is actually finding morels in the first place. There are two ways to go about this, a basic method and a slightly more involved method that I think gives you a better chance of success. Method 1. When you bring home your morels and after cutting them in half and washing out any dirt or bugs, your rinse water is now full of morel spores. Don't pour it down the drain. Each morel contains billions of spores. Go pour it in your yard under a suitable tree. But what types of trees are suitable? There's not a lot of research on morels and their life cycle is complicated, but when we find morels in the forest, they are usually growing as a mycorrhizal fungi, which means they have a symbiotic relationship with certain trees. The hyphae of the morel mycelium share nutrients with the roots of certain trees. There are a lot of different morel species, and they each have their own set of preferred host trees. The three species of morel you're most likely to find in eastern North America are black morels, half-free morels, and the morel that most people are talking about when they refer to morels, the yellow morel. In my area of the upper Midwest, United States, yellow morels have three types of trees they normally associate with: elms, ash, and apples. Farther east, they also associate with tulip tree and probably some others. So a requirement of growing morels in your yard with this method is that you have the correct host tree. In my case, I have an apple tree. But a good rule of thumb is that if you find a morel in the woods and there's only one type of tree near it, and you have that type of tree in your yard, you should be able to bring that morel home and use it to inoculate your tree. Side note, I need to offer a word of caution about ash trees. If you're in an area affected by emerald ash borer, which is basically all of eastern North America at this point, you should not try to inoculate any ash trees that are growing next to your street if they are managed by your municipality. This is because cities are keeping street ash trees alive by injecting them with systemic insecticides. It's possible morels that pop up around that tree could take up some of that systemic insecticide, and that is not something you want to be eating. Let's move on to a way to give your morels an even better chance of growing in your yard. Method 2. The catch is it requires sacrificial morels, and we are going to blend them up. Here's why. The cells of morels and most fungi are basically stem cells. Each piece of a morel, whether it be part of the underground mycelium or part of the fruiting body, is capable of starting its own underground network. Those pieces of morel have more stored up energy than a spore and can act as their own seed, if you will, to establish a foothold in your yard. We'll also add a little food in the form of a simple sugar like molasses or honey to feed the morel pieces as they grow. Here's the other difference. Rather than just dumping this slurry on the soil surface where it will be subject to drying out in the sun and wind, let's bury it just below the surface where the temperature and moisture levels stay consistent. Whichever method you use, I recommend inoculating your trees before a rain or on a cloudy day. Another note, many morel species are thought to be partially saprotrophic, meaning they feed on decaying organic matter. So it's possible you can grow yellow morels in wood chips, but I haven't tried that method personally. Let me know if that's something you've done before. Okay, so what are the results of doing this? The first time I poured this slurry under my apple tree was 3 years ago. Then, last year, I was shocked to see a morel pop up about 10 feet away from the tree. This year, I was walking through my backyard in late April, and there it is, another morel. So far, I've only seen a few morels pop up, but hopefully they will increase over time. But no matter what, a few morels is better than 0 morels. And because this tree is old and might die at some point soon, when it does, I expect a huge flush of morels for several years, as morels are more likely to fruit when their host tree is dying, so they can release spores to find a new tree to grow under. Alright, I hope you try this method out and let me know if it works for you.